Loading. And boom. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to yet another Beat the Block Live. I am joined by your hosts. We have Chicago's own in transit, Ill Brown.
No stop, no show. We out here. What's up?
Yep. We have Chicago's own by way of Detroit, Dope Candy.
What's up? What's up?
And we got Portland's own Trox.
Peace, y'all. Peace. What's going on?
How you guys doing?
Maintaining, man. It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood. Beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine? Could you be mine?
Man, everybody that's watching, hey, watch the news and you'll see what's going on in my city.
Yeah.
You're gonna see.
Yes.
It's fucking nuts right now, man.
Fucking insane.
Stay dangerous, stay vigilant, man. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah.
Please do.
So today we are diving into none other than DJ Shay. If you don't know, he's from Buff City, from Buffalo. He found early on the Griselda crew, so Benny, Conway, Westside. What were some of you guys' favorite moments from this interview?
Where to start?
Yeah.
Where to start? One thing I did pick up though is like he believed in what he had all the way, even if he had to fail a bunch of times.
Yeah.
And that's how I approach what I do. It just mirrored my approach to everything.
Yes.
I mean,
it's so hard. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, he displayed believing in himself, his craft, and his vision, like from day one, and believing in his artist 100%. Where he was able to, he decided to just put up everything, sacrifice everything, whatever needed to be done. Didn't matter how long it took. He knew that the vision would come to light. So, that's really the biggest takeaway from this interview. Like, you really gotta believe and put all your energy into it and make it work. You know.
100%. Yeah, that's a good point on the artist as well. I mean, we've had multiple guests say, a great way to make it as a producer is to, not chase those big unrealistic placements, but find those artists and help build them.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what he did with Griselda. And like you said, he has so much faith. He said, "I'll put everything on them." Now, back then, in the future, he's willing to ride for them. And by the way, welcome everyone who's watching and is in the comments. Please say what's up. We definitely
we got Session Beats, Cloud9 Music, Normal Productions, Server Plug, TikTok. What up? Why no beats? What's happening?
What's happening?
What's up, gang?
What up with y'all?
We definitely want to chat with y'all. So like any questions, comments, whatever you got, that's our favorite part is a chatting with you guys. So please feel free to throw in all those questions. We want to chat with y'all. Yeah, Cloud9 Music said, this is so fire. Literally 37 minutes in on watching the DJ interview and hit the Gmail for the Twitch notification.
Hey, we appreciate you. We appreciate you turning those notifications on, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Major key right there.
Major key. And by the way, you can see the hosts. If you're in a Twitch chat, you can see the hosts. Go ahead and click those profiles, hit the follow. We're producing content all the time, so definitely check them out.
Please. I'm on Twitch Monday through Thursday, 7 p.m. PST.
Absolutely.
Right.
And Candy, are we getting your stream soon? Or are we still building?
So my goal is to get 50 followers, so then I can hit the stream. But
Word.
You know what? I might just start getting cracking earlier. So just make sure you go ahead and click at Dope Candy. You can follow me there. Also on IG, so you guys can get that notification of when I'll be streaming. I don't want my schedule to clash with Trox, so we're gonna work that out.
Oh yeah, definitely.
There we go. And we got 74 people watching on all platforms right now. Just go and hit follow because we need Candy to produce this content. So
Yeah.
go to Candy's hit the follow
My
button.
my handle is right here for all social medias, right?
There you go.
Except Twitch. It's Trox1Million on Twitch. So I'll put that on the Twitch.
Same with you. You're
Yes,
Dope
sir.
Candy on everywhere, right, Candy?
Yep, everywhere at Dope Candy.
Y'all know it.
Bill Brown everywhere. Follow me. I'm following back. I'm going live on Twitch very soon.
There you
Do
go.
some dope things for you guys. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and also follow us on Beat the Block Pod, also across all streaming platforms. So we'll put a link in there, you know, Beat the
Please
Block
believe
Pod.
it.
Most def.
Absolutely. By the way, welcome back. There's a few other familiar faces. We got Buffer on the beat, Norma Productions, ADJ Italy,
Cloud9 Music, Norma
Lucas
Productions. Yeah, the plug.
Sorry, y'all.
Will, Broken AC Beats. That's a good one. Welcome.
Broken AC Beats. Damn, I like that.
I like that. All right. So, here we go. Boom. We already got a question. Quick question. What came to everyone's attention during the DJ Shay interview? I'm just happy more and more people are listening to Griselda.
As far as like what, what came to our attention, or what inspired this interview? Is that what he's asking?
Yeah, he's saying what came to everyone's attention to interview DJ Shay.
Yeah, Trox can take that one.
Yeah,
right,
I mean.
So, all right. So this is how we got DJ Shay. Shout out to my man Havana Joe at Entertainment One. BSF is actually under the Entertainment One umbrella. I signed a pub deal with Entertainment One, and they actually came to me about the podcast. So we got it worked out. You know, we did the interview. It was fun. It was fun. It was a fun interview.
Oh yeah.
Shout out to DJ Shay. Shout out to Atlanta, Buffalo, where all those guys are at. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to them, man. I was very appreciated. And shout out to Havana Joe.
Y'all remember that? Graph pulled up.
Yeah, Graph pulled up. He was in the building.
That was a nice surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was a dope. That interview actually felt like I was at the crib. It felt like home. It was very familiar, and it was DJ Shay kept everything 100, and you know, just gave it straight with no chaser. So
exactly.
That's their music, straight with no chaser, man.
Exactly.
They live what they write, man.
Exactly.
100%. So we're gonna do every time we do this, we hop in, we listen to a few sections, and then we chat, discuss it, that kind of thing. So right now we're gonna hop into one of those sections. So sit tight, everyone. We're gonna pull this up and let it rip.
Let's take it back to your childhood. So you started DJing around the age of 10, right?
My birthday is in November. I turned 10 in November, and on Christmas I had a pair of Technique 1200s and a GLI PMX 9000. That was a joint that Dan Master J and everybody had back in the day. Like my mom went in crazy. Like she went in crazy. I remember that, and like after that it was over. I was like, by the next year I was DJing in motherfucking bars in the kitchen and shit. They had me in the kitchen. I couldn't be in the bar, so I'm DJing from the kitchen, doing bars and shit. And it was pretty much over after that.
That's crazy. You started off like not on no toys. You started off on some real shit.
Yeah, they used to like all that. And then I had like, it was older guys who saw me there. Like one of my friends, he was like 16, and he came to my house. And my grandmother was like, "Who is this old ass man coming to the door?" But everybody was like, "It was like, you got 1200s." Like most of everybody had like other type of turntables. They couldn't afford the 1200s, so I was like popular just because I had them. They thought I was just like some old spoiled kid. But they came through, and I was chopping shit up for real.
How did you get exposed to DJing in clubs and in the kitchens of clubs and that at that age?
My uncle, my whole history, my whole father's side of the music, like I play instruments, but actually the DJing come from my mother's side. I was living with my grandmother and my uncle, he was DJing like in And like I was watching him, and then like as soon as he would leave, I cut it back on and was practicing. And my grandmother was like, "Don't be touching your uncle's stuff. You know he go get mad at you and shit." So when he did, he came home and he saw me like scratching. He was like, "Well, if you go do that, you got to learn how to. You can't touch him until you learn how to blend 2 different records." So shit, he left again, man. An hour later, I was mixing 2 different records, and after that, I basically was taking over his shit. And then my mother, and he told my mother, and my mother found out how good I was or whatever, and she put that together, put that play together.
That's what's up. I got a similar story of how I got started. It was kind of the same type of situation when they tell you don't touch the equipment, and then you wait until they leave the room, and then they like, you can actually do this. So it's crazy. That's how it go. So I believe you also made your first beat with Ray T for a song called Loose Kings.
Yeah, Ray T. That's
yeah. How did you become evolve into a producer, starting off as a DJ?
Well, again, my uncle, after he had them turntables, he had like a little Dr. Rhythm. He had like a little beat machine, Dr. Rhythm. So I was picking that up too, the Dr. Rhythm. And then they had the SK1, the joint that was on the Cosby Show, the jamming on the one. They had the sampler. And when they had that joint, I got that joint. And then I had tried to like make me a 2-track, because you only could do it like 1 sample. And then I had got a 2-track and made a track. And then my boy Ray T was there, and he was just started rapping, and from there it was over. Then I like the next year I got me a real sampling keyboard. And that shit was no turning back.
That's what's up. So what was that time period from DJing to producing? At what age did you make that transition?
Okay, that after I really stopped after I started making beats. I guess after I was DJing for about 10 years. I always knew how to make beats, but probably 10 years in, I started really going hard with the beats. Probably I'm gonna tell you what year it was, 90, 91, 92, because I was with a group called Brotherhood Nation, and they was conscious. They had brought me on as a DJ, and we went to the studio. They had another producer that made all the beats, and all I was doing was scratching. I'm like, damn, he get to make all the beats. So after that, yeah, it was probably 91. So it was 20 years in. I had already knew how to make beats, but that's when I really took it serious. Yo, I can't never have nobody else. I got to make my own beats. I mean, I'm not selfish like that now, but at that time I was like, yo, I got to do everything. I got to know how to do everything. So that's when I really went hard with the beats. About 91, 92.
Yeah, I think I actually just started back DJing, and I always knew how to DJ, but I didn't want people to put me in a box of DJing, and I started making beats. So then I was just I got caught for a gig to DJ, and it worked out, and I was like, why am I not DJing too? So
yo, that's the same shit. Because the part I forgot, I didn't finish it up. So after 91, when I started making beats, I stopped DJing completely. Everybody you don't DJ no more. You're not gonna DJ my party. I was like, man, I ain't got time for that. Man, I ain't got time for that. You feel me? I was I had stopped making. I went to double. So then I stopped DJing for about until I probably I don't know, real recent. I always did, but. Then I started DJing again, and I stopped making beats for a minute. It's crazy. It's going back and forth.
It's a juggling process, because each of them is they take. I think with production is very much more detailed and intricate. I mean, DJing can be too. It just depends on what you're doing. But if you out DJing parties and stuff, it's really it's a totally different vibe. So. They call on 2 different, I think it's working 2 different sides of your brain.
My mother be saying that all the time. She's like, boy, the best thing you did was know how to DJ. I don't know all that stuff you be making. You be in the basement making all that noise and bringing that. I like when you DJ. I'm like, man, all right, man. That's where you start at. That's what you're supposed to be doing, DJ. I'm like, all right, man.
Yes.
What you want to hear? Frankie Beverly, I got you. I'm going to play some Evelyn Champagne King and Freddie Bankley for you. Frankie Beverly, you be good.
With DJing, you get more instant gratification. With production, you got to build the outcome. You know what I'm saying? You creating it. So, you got to school the new ones on the block. But yeah, I mean, it's people out here that, they show up and they got the digital stuff, and they not. You got playlist DJs and you got people that can really blend, right? Blend and scratch. I happen to fall in the category of being able to blend and scratch, because I got 2 brothers that started. So you started Buff City Records.
So I want to take a pause right there. Candy, I'd love to hear, your journey. I know you started your first beat at 12, but did you hold up, Truck's got something. What you got, Trucks?
Shout out to the DJs that can blend and scratch. Shout out to you, Candy.
Oh, thank you.
Let's talk about it.
Thank you.
Hey.
Tell us.
So what was the question you were going to ask?
Yeah. How did you get started in DJing? And was it I know you made your first beat at 12. Was it were you heavy in producing first or heavy in DJing first?
I was heavy in producing first.
Okay.
But I think everything that I did was experimental, trial and error, and watching, because I grew up in the studio watching people do things. So I didn't even realize that I could do it. It was more or less like you just start messing around, and it just became second nature to do stuff, because I think my exposure to it, and when I say I sat up under, my uncle and my mom at the studio, literally sat up under them all day, all night. But I didn't realize that I was learning how to do this stuff. You know what I'm saying? It was kind of that thing where if you have a kid around some stuff, they're just going to absorb it. So that was my thing, and just being around it. And then once I got hands-on, just messing around when I wasn't supposed to, I started to develop the skill set. And then I had people that kind of saw that once they found out that I could do it, and then they kind of nurtured the talent a little bit, started to throw some things at me to practice and do. And I mean, there was a period of time where I didn't produce beats for a while. I didn't DJ because I went to school, and then trying to focus on both, it just didn't work out. But again, it's almost like riding a bike. So then when you jump back in, I'm like, oh, I still got it. So that's how, just jump in and started to do it. I get a lot of people that ask, where should they start? And I always say start with blending, beat matching and stuff like that. I mean, now it's different. You can find stuff on YouTube and literally go buy equipment. But back then, it was non-existent. So it was literally trial and error and really making mistakes. And I think making the mistakes that sound good, then I'm like, well, how did I do that? Because and it was trial and error. So yeah, I mean, making beats was always my first love. Started super young doing it, and I was around a lot of composers, and so I just, that was the first thing.
Yeah. Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, actually, in the middle of the interview, DJ Shay was like, "Oh, Candy, you gotta come out and."
Yeah, when I come to Atlanta, I'm definitely gonna hit him up. I'm gonna wait until the coast is clear to be moving around. The state of our country is really crazy, but I'm definitely we're gonna connect. So.
Shit. See, I had the opposite, upbringing as far as my musical journey goes. I didn't have that, I didn't have that that big brother or sister to teach me anything really. So I got a pair of turntables for Christmas, in middle school, real basic ones, nothing crazy, some Newmarks, and a mixer too. I was learning that and making beats at the same time. That turned into making beats.
Right.
I turned into making beats. I was a DJ first in middle school.
Mm-hmm.
And I literally learned everything on my own. It was trial and error, just like you.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? But I didn't have anybody teaching me this shit. I was learning this shit on my own.
You know what? It's a game that me and my brother used to play. So my uncle was a producer and a musician. He played guitar and bass for a lot of people. But he passed away in '98, and he had just bought a brand new MPC 2000, and he had a Korg N5 keyboard. So when he passed away, we had the equipment at our house, and they always told me not to touch it. But my older brother would go in the living room. It was set up in the living room, the whole setup, and he would start making drum patterns with the MP, and we would play a game. I didn't know how to record or anything, but he would press the record button and he'll start a kick. And then he'll say, okay, add the snare. And then I would add the snare. And then we would be doing that, but I didn't really understand what I was doing, or it just sounded good and we rolled with it. So that's how I got the introduction to actually mess with the MPC. But we had keyboards all the time in the house. So I would play and find chords and, you know, even younger than 12. So I had the ear already. It was just a matter of like, you know, and then one day I made a beat when no one was at home. I didn't know how to save it. I didn't know how to delete it. They told me not to touch the equipment. And my mom pressed play when she got back, and it wasn't her stuff. And she was like, who did this? And then they found out it was me. And then she took that and ran with it. Cause like I tell everybody I was extremely shy and didn't want anybody to know that I was able, you know, that I messed around with it. But, you know, it was dope. And I still have like my early beat tapes that are on cassette. Like I had to do the overdubs, and I still have all of that stuff and songs and all types of stuff. So,
I want to hear all that when I'm in Chicago.
One day, what I need to do is like transfer them from cassette and have them on, transfer them over into my DAW and transfer them over to the you know, so it's a digital file. So if anything happens to the tapes, I still have them. But yeah, it's just trial and error and that first introduction, and then that was it. I took off from there and kept going. So
that's a great story.
Yeah, unfortunately, all of my middle school beats and high school beats, they're gone, man. They're all gone. I don't have them no more. My house got robbed my senior year of high school.
Oh wow! And
they took everything, man. Everything. Yeah, but you know, that just you know, fueled me to go harder.
Right.
Exactly.
Go harder. Gotta go back and
got a laptop, got Reason, you know.
Up again.
Rest is history from there.
Yeah, it's crazy how life circumstances change everything. Like I think part of my decision to go to college, I had a fuck that shit moment, you know, when I was 17, and I just didn't see it working out. Like things weren't working out, that promises was made and shit just wasn't working out. And my keyboard was stolen out of a studio. Like took it to the studio to work. It was an actual really, you know, keyboard was stolen. We had to sell the MPC to pay rent. Like, so I just saw everything leaving musically, and I'm like, okay, well maybe I just need to just go and do something else. And so that I was just like, fuck it, and went to school. But then when I got in college, you know, those refund checks, I did buy a Triton off of eBay, but it sat in my dorm room, literally collecting dust. And all the guys in the dorm would pass my door, they're like, yo, she got a Triton in her room. But I never could get into the mindset of like doing it, because I feel like, you know, it was just the environment. Everything was different. Like, and then after I got out of school, I was like, what am I doing? Like, let me get back. So I got back into it. I immediately bought equipment and started to go back 100%. So
that was the spark then, like getting out of that school environment. You were like, I got
environment's everything. And it's almost like I had to spend years unlearning, being like, it's two different mindsets. I went to school for business. I think anything where it's so structured takes away from your creativity. And so when I first bought all my equipment and stuff, I'm like, all right, I'm about to dive back into it. But then I'm like, wait a minute, my brain, you know, when you're doing it younger and you're not in habit of doing something systematically, your creativity flows so easy, and you're not, you know, take a kid and just watch what a kid does. They can build, they can paint, draw, whatever, and there's no judgment. It flows through them. But then once you learn all of this structural shit, it's just like, now I have to unlearn it to get back free. And so that took time. Also, the whole equipment, everything changed to digital. I was on everything analog, right? So between that time period, I started off on analog equipment, and I was doing stuff the old school way, and people was like, "What are you doing? You're still tracking out." So I had I had to get back on board with like that's when the machine first came out, and you know I actually bought an MPC 2500, which I should have kept still, but I sold it and was like, I gotta get everything digital because the whole workflow changed. I didn't know nothing about, you know, getting your sounds right, having your files. You ever try to map some sound and then you can't find any of your stuff? The computer got so much troubleshooting to do, but then I had to get over that hump. And then after that, you know, I got back creative. So it was a process, but you got to indulge yourself in it and like really believe in what you are capable of doing. If people played my stuff when I was a kid and you play it now, everyone says you was ahead of your time. Like it's actually, it still goes. So I just ran with that. Like I didn't have the talent for no reason. You know what I'm saying? So,
right, man. There's one piece of equipment that I regret selling. It's that ASR 10 that I used to have.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we talked about that during the interview. I don't think it made the cut. And it didn't make the cut. But it's like I would just run my sounds through it. Like this is what I was doing to make beats. Okay, I was basically taking the best of both worlds, the old and the new.
Mm-hmm.
And I was literally just taking samples from records, running them through my ASR 10, and then chopping them in FL. This is what I was doing in middle school and high school.
That's crazy.
Cause like for some reason it sounded better through the ASR 10 instead of directly in.
Warmer sound.
But then I figured out why, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So
and that's cool. You did what felt good versus actually sticking to like just going straight software. You actually did what felt good. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I wish I still had that thing. I wish I did. I regret selling it.
Yeah, out there for the low tracks. I had my bad, man. This old lady fell outside and I had to help her. I'm sorry.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, man. Like I'm surprised y'all didn't hear it. Like she was trying to balance herself. I'm in the hospital district, and she fell up against my truck, and
shit.
She took a tumble, and I had to jump off the street and help her up.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, she's okay. She's okay. So
all right, that's good.
Thank God. Thank God.
Everyone. We got it.
It was interesting as hell, but yeah, carry on. Sorry, guys.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
There was an interesting point that Candy said too. There's you know, on a topic of like, you know, whether you're doing school or work in addition to, you know, trying to do your own thing, there's things that take up hours and then there's things that take up like mental space. You know what I mean? And it sounds like school for you is something that like you could have maybe you know, 30 or 40 hour a week job, but if it takes up so much mental space that it like burns out your creativity, like you said, like that's not a good environment, not, you know, the best environment.
No, and I did both. Work full time, school full time, and you know, so and I'm one of those people that pile up a lot of stuff on my plate. I don't know, and then I'm around some people that could do, I guess, more. It's just how your brain is wired. Like everybody's different. I feel like I'm one of those people that like to knock out one thing and then move on to the next versus doing everything. So this is how my brain works. But it was draining. It was difficult to. I mean, I went to school for business. Like thinking about accounting, assets, and liabilities, and owner's equity at the same time. I'm up here with random beats going through my brain. So I knew it was like, you're almost done with school, finish this and then go to that. Because if I dedicated myself to creating, I would have said, and I've already invested too much. So just go ahead and just finish it. And then like my mom, she said, the music's not going anywhere, it's in you. So just go ahead and finish. You know, it's in you, it ain't going anywhere.
Really interesting. Even though your mom was in music.
Yeah, she's a singer, songwriter. And I've watched her cook up some beats. So yeah, some ideas. Yeah,
a true creative.
Yep.
It's beautiful to see.
We got to hear your mom's beat tape. Where's that at?
She didn't do a beat tape. You know what's crazy is like, I mean, I've always been like well, my oldest brother, he started producing first. And then my other brother, he actually messed around with it, but I'm the one that stuck with it. It was glued to me, but I've watched my mom make beats to get song ideas out because she's really a singer-songwriter. Mm-hmm. And when we couldn't get to the studio and she needed to get an idea out, I actually watched her figure it out. And I used to like look on the side like she is not about to make a beat, you know, like completely doubting her. And then when I hear the end product, I'm like, you actually created a whole song from scratch. Like the whole beat structure. I mean, she's a songwriter, so she knew song structure, but actually made the whole song, you know. So yeah, shout out to Mom for me watching you do that one time.
Definitely.
That's dope.
Yeah.
So,
all right. So
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, Booth on the Beat said, think very carefully about who and what occupying the room in your head. Like, that's prime real estate. And he's right. Like, if you can understand how to not give so much energy to stuff, so, and put what you want in the forefront of your brain and knock that out, like, that's major. I'm still trying to figure that out, but yeah.
Definitely. Me and Il Brown could tell you a thing or two about that.
Okay.
If you know, you know. If you know, this is some shit that we went through. It's some shit that we went through. If you know, you know.
We'll have that conversation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you know, you know.
Shout out to Buff on the Beat. That was a bar right there.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right, gang. We're going to hop into another section. Throw your comments in the chat, and let's get it going.
And you started working with local artists, but how did you manage to balance DJing plus producing plus running a label?
And a studio.
Did it all.
And a studio. It was all under one roof. It was all under one roof, man. I wasn't by myself. We worked. I had a staff. I had actually one of my vice president. He just drove here from North Carolina. My boy Rab. Even with his Buck City Records, he's still around. He was like my VP. Like we ran in house. We ran that like we run BSF right now. Like, and then he like absorbed everything that happened, and he's now he the boss. Now he our boss, and I ain't mad. I'm good. I get to do what I do. You know what I mean? And Benny the boss. He was with me throughout all this. He when I wasn't able, I don't know if I was supposed to tell this, but when I wasn't able to pay him like I was supposed to pay him, I was giving him percentages of Buff City Records. So he owned partial of Buff City Records too. Cause I ain't have money. I was like, bro, don't leave me, man. I'm gonna offer you a percentage of the company. I ain't got no money right now. And that's my guy. He rolled out with me, and now he the boss, and he runs shit.
Yeah, it's good that you did business and looked out. We all start off in a particular way, and people got to ride out the hard times and make it through. Kind of had like that family atmosphere. If everybody's working towards the common goal, then
we family.
That's how you get to it. But can you walk us through like the first years of you setting everything up? Like, how were you able to even get it off the ground, and what was like your thought process?
Well, I had friends. How I was able to get off the ground, I had a few friends. You know how I'm from the hood, so I had friends that wanted to see us do better, and they were in a financial position to help me and provide what we needed. As far as equipment and the necessities and a studio. And I ran a 24-hour studio in Buffalo that it never closed. So, when we wasn't working, I was available, and everybody wanted to kind of, work with me and being who I was. So we kind of stayed busy, and the doors kind of stayed open. And you know, with the boys, with the crew, with Benny and Conway and everybody, they had you know, pretty much free open range of the studio. It was kind of big. I had a front and a back. So if I did have sessions, they would go up front and write and craft until I was done and come in the back. But we grinded. We never closed. You know, we went through, yeah, many mixtapes, 50, 60, 70 mixtapes. You know, we was dropping shit. We was dropping shit regularly, like since 04. It was like no stop. We never stopped operating like now. Actually, I feel, I was just telling boys, shit, all the work we done, I still feel like I got to work more now that we here, you feel me, to make sure that we leave us a mark. But those days, them days was like, it's funny. Another story too, what the crazy shit, one quick story. And I remember a very long time ago when Renegade came out, we was listening to the Renegade song in the studio, and we was sipping on some Hennessy. We was pretty much fucked up, talking shit. And I remember Conway was saying something about Eminem verse, and then Benny was like, yeah, that's it was dope, but it's not whole. And then rewind, you know, 10, 15 years later, for Conway to be on signed to motherfucking Eminem, and then Benny to be signed to Jay-Z.
Right.
That shit right there is some real serious shit that sit with me, like, you know. And then motherfuckers asked me, did I think this was gonna happen? And I was like, yeah, I just didn't know when. That's what the fuck I was doing all this shit for this to happen.
Exactly.
You feel me? I just didn't know when, but now is when.
That's a great point to say. I mean, you kind of had a vision, and when you just keep working until it pops. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And
right.
so
I lost. I mean, not in the sense I didn't lose anything that was really important, but my goals, I missed. You know, there's a lot of things I missed out on, but you know, I don't regret them, because that's how I got to why I'm here. I believe, and why we're here. It's for the sacrifices that I made, that we all made.
I agree. Do you think making so much music back then, I mean, dropping 40, 50, 60 tapes, do you think that was like the major push that got you where you are today?
No, I don't. To tell you the truth, I don't know what one. I wouldn't concentrate on one particular thing or say one thing. I just say that collectively of all the work that we did, and of course, Westside is a genius for what he's a genius for, and all I ever said was in the beginning is that someone of importance just had to hear us. That's all I was concerned about. So when I was making all them tapes, every joint, I thought, hey man, if somebody hear this, if Hov, actually, you already know who else. You always want Hov to hear shit. If Hov hear this, I've been saying that ever since that argument, or before that argument. You feel me? If Hov or somebody heard this shit, we would be good. Buffalo wouldn't be the unsigned city no more. Like, we'll be running shit if somebody here. That was my whole goal. I was putting out compilation albums in like 01, 02, and 03. Actually, I'm lying. I'm sorry. In 98 and 99, I started a series called Unsigned City, because we was like the only unsigned city, and they, you know, New York niggas used to look at us funny, like, y'all niggas ain't from New York, y'all from Buffalo, New York. You feel me? So we was kind of set with that. I had that complex. We had some shit to prove anyway, you know, with my whole Unsigned City series. That was, you know, and now we signed City, so I'm working on that shit now too. I forgot about that. I gotta get that together now too. We signed. Gotta get signed City jumping.
That's what's up.
But yeah, you know, that's what it is.
Speaking of Benny, can you talk about the first time you met Benny the Butcher?
The first time I met him, I didn't hear his music though. I didn't hear his music the first time I met him. They was trying to get him and his homies, and another person that he was working with at the time was buying beats from me, and he was come by like, yo, I need you to hear this kid Benny, man, but I need to get some beats from him. So he was buying beats from me for Benny before I actually heard Benny or got him. So after the first time, one of my investors, one of my homeboys and investors, they knew Conway and Benny and Cutter and all them and Westside and all very well. So as soon as he got with me, he was like, yo, I need you to hear these boys. I was like, oh, okay, I know. I've heard of Benny. Such and such. I was like, I heard of Conway. And then after the first time I heard him, I was like, yo, these kids right here, I'm gonna need to have these kids on my team. You know, like the way they are at this time right now. When I look at all five of them, including Rest in Peace Machine Gun Black, when I looked at the picture of Street Entertainment, that's what they was when I got with them. Everybody that's on the picture is living right now their dream, like to the fullest, and what we work for. Like everybody is at the top of their shit, and that shit right there feels. That shit is like a feeling that I can't even express or describe them or put in words.
Man, just that picture that you're talking about, man, and just like you telling the story about it, it's real inspiring, man.
Word.
When did you think, like, what was the moment, like, when you were, working with Benny? When did you realize, like, this dude was going to be something special?
The first time I heard him, nigga, that joint, this with all of them right here. This was the Street Entertainment joint right here with all of them. You know what I mean? Benny, Conway, Cutter, Machine Gun Black, and Westside. That was them boys back then. Like, Conway stood out like no other, and Benny stood out like no other. And I'm going to keep it 100. Like, Cutter, who was in the middle, he was the first one to start doing like recording with no paper or no pen. But we gonna get to that. And then when Benny, it was November, it was by his birthday, and it was 05, right around Benny's birthday. We was doing a mixtape, and I knew he was dope, but he came in. He was on probation, so he couldn't smoke weed. The nigga was smoke. I used to smoke cigarettes too, so we had got a bottle of Rosé, some Hennessy, and we were smoking cigarettes, his shit. He was smoking cigarettes, and the man did this flow. I'm trying to remember what beat off of Benny Siegel, old Benny's Beatles. Can you stand the Out in the Rain beat or some shit? But that motherfucker went in there, bruh, and I got motherfucking chills, like I just got mad chills that time, like, and since then, like every single time I would go to record Benny, it's like the day before Christmas. And when I got the 1200s, it's like the day before Christmas. Even to like right now, if he come here right now and he start crafting, it's like the day before Christmas. When I press record,
So I wanted to ask y'all real quick, like maybe it's an artist that you worked with, maybe it's another producer, like, getting in and like seeing people are talented and just working with them early and not like, oh, they're not big, they're not, this big brand name. Who are some people that were like that for you all? Producer or artist?
All right. I got one for you. All right, so I got a song with YBN Cordae. And he recorded, actually, no, I have a few. I have a few of them with him. And he recorded them when he was known as Entendre. He ended up dropping one of them under YBN Cordae, and it was like all over World Star and all that. It was the first time I heard that song that I realized, that kid's going to be special, real special.
Yeah.
My man Sonny Bonaho actually plugged me with him. Shout out to Sonny Bonaho, Seattle, Tacoma. He's from Tacoma. But yeah, he's... the story behind that was like he's like, yo, I got this kid I want you to send beats for, and I'm like, I was like super busy at that time. I'm like, yeah, I'll get you as soon as I can, man. It is what it is. I was out of town, and then he's like, nah, trust me, I'm serious. And I send him beats, and all of a sudden me and Cordae are talking on the phone. We're texting each other and all that, and he's like asking for more beats, and I just send him more beats. He sends me a record. I'm like, oh shit, this guy's nice.
Yeah.
Like real nice. And then he drops Fighting Temptations. And it takes off.
Wow.
I think for me, like most of the people that I decide to work with, I feel like off rip, they are special. You know what I'm saying? A lot of unsigned artists. I think the biggest issue now is the fact that they don't go hard for themselves like you think, like they should actually as artists. Like, so it's like, how much can you invest and believe besides the talent? Because you got it, just be less work, be consistent. But it's like they don't go hard for themselves. So it's just like, in today's world, if you don't have like the backing or the push, then you need to be dropping content 24/7. So then if you have somebody that's willing and they're like, let's do it, you gotta take full advantage. And I think there's a lot of artists that just don't believe in themselves enough or won't set aside the time and have the work ethic to just do it with you because, you know, but anybody I choose to, because my time is valuable too. So it's just like, but most of the people that I'm like, all right, I'm going to send you some beats is because I actually think that you are dope. Like you got it. You know what I'm saying? So.
Yeah, and that actually, I was thinking too, you know, yeah, go ahead, Will.
Oh no, go ahead, John. I'll piggyback off you.
Okay, no worries. I was gonna say, you know, he mentioned we talked about like all the projects that they put out, all the mixtapes and stuff. And you know, Trox has like a cool way of doing it where he's doing it on Twitch. Like, you know, if you guys could touch on like, you know, getting that output and you know, just making sure you're creating and being consistent in that kind of thing.
Yeah, consistency is difficult. I mean, if it was easy, then everybody would do it.
For me,
give it to us, Will.
I think I might be. I think I'm out here good.
It's that 5G.
Yeah.
The 5G.
It's the G5 radiation.
You were saying you come from an era
bad. Like artists like that for me was like Dom Kennedy initially.
That 5G for real.
5G got him. The 5G got him
at the time.
Give it one more second. Let's see if you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Why don't you hit us with your for those who don't know your workflow on Twitch? It's really interesting.
Yeah, Trox got it down. Trying to get his level.
I'm still working on it. You know what I'm saying? I'm still working on it. You know, it's a grind. It's hard work. You know what I'm saying? You have to be consistent. Like I was late for my last one because like I had to eat. You know what I'm saying? Like I was not doing a stream on an empty stomach, yo. I'm sorry, man. Listen. I love streaming, but I'm not streaming on an empty stomach.
And explain exactly what you do in those streams too, like.
Yeah, like it's hard work. Like I love doing it, but it's a grind, you know. So like you just got to be consistent with it, you know. You got to be willing to spend 2 or 3 hours a day streaming. You know what I'm saying?
And you said many times, like it's actually like helpful because it's like
facts.
And you get that feedback and.
Yeah, it's more than helpful. Like I get the feedback. I have an audience watching me, so the pressure is on for me to be productive.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I actually think having an audience helps. I used to not think that way at all. Just, you know, I was just mad insecure about having people watch me make beats.
Huh.
But nah, man, it really helps. I use that fear, like Jimmy Iovine said. I was able to take that fear and then help it and then let it push me instead of hold me back. You know what I'm saying? So like the audience, that it works for me.
Yeah, I remember it was a few calls ago or something, but Candy mentioned like, you know, y'all went through the Ring of Fire with going through the beat battle circuits. Like that's like
yeah.
You gotta be ready.
Yeah. You know, I mean, and honestly doing this podcast, you know, people that came from the same era, environment, and situation, we don't know what they think or how they felt, you know, and then since we've been interviewing people that have came from that, it's like super cool to hear like, oh, you was going through the same stuff, you know, or you felt the same way, or we're all on the chopping block together. And so it's dope. But yeah, I mean, the formula is consistency. The formula is you have to put yourself out there and you have to be consistent in order to get better and to build quality and to build quantity. So really it's only one answer. And and it's hard. I mean, it's just like, I think you got to work up to consistency. You have to commit and then work up to it. And honestly, I'll be honest, it's sometimes where I'm on and it's just like, you can ask my family and friends, they like, oh, you can't call me. I'm not going to answer. You don't, and then sometimes, the energy of the world and stuff is going on, you just be off and you like, I cannot get in that. But it's one of those things, like the creative process, I guess you go through. Sometimes you have to go through those lows to actually break through and actually make something great. You know what I'm saying? So it happens, but the key is only consistency. Like I'm at the point to where just throw out anything and see what happens, especially when you watch other people and you like, really? It's like
right.
It could be that easy if you just actually just do it. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Shit, I enjoy the conversation that we have, like while I'm having the audience watch Make My Beats. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll have my numbers aren't crazy. Like, I mostly have friends on there and like repeat viewers.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes my man Havana Joe will come on, right? And and we'll talk about random '90s like 90s references and shit, like basketball and wrestling and all that. And like it just inspires me to just keep going with the work. You know what I'm saying? It just inspires my creative flow. Just talking about things like that. I don't like talking about like my process too much. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I like to talk about other things while making beats.
Yeah.
It kind of inspires you probably to talk about other stuff because like your mind isn't on the technical aspect of creating. You just create and it's like one of those things where you can not be focused too much on like everything that's intricate, but you can just focus on making something good and just keep the flow going. Sometimes when everything's too serious, that's what stops you from moving forward.
I hate that shit. Nah, me, Joe, and my manager Soko, he moderates on there. We talk shit about Bill Laimbeer all the time. Actually, Soko doesn't. It's just me and Havana Joe. Because Soko's a Pistons fan, and we fucking hate Bill Laimbeer.
A word?
He said, "Oh,
That guy has no fucking game, and all he does is foul." But that's what we talk about to get things going.
Somebody has a question. It said, how long did you study before you started creating? No studying going on. You just create.
Yeah, same
Everything's
here.
trial and error. If you need to look up something, I mean, I remember, like I said, I started young, was surrounded by a music family. So I remember when I was just getting introduced to Pro Tools a long time ago. I think it was like Pro Tools 6 or 5 or something crazy.
Oh, you're Pro Tools OG.
OG, like again, tracking each track for track. And I was one of those people that I had fun creating, and I used to set like crazy, I don't know, goals or something, like see how many tracks you could do. Like with the MP, you can add as many tracks as whatever to one sequence. And so I'll be like, let me see if I can do 100 tracks. I would do stuff crazy because I was just having fun. It was like after school having fun. But when you have to track out, man, it was crazy. But I didn't know Pro Tools. And I remember him slamming a book, like, here, read this book. I'm like, hey, there is no way I'm going to learn Pro Tools reading a book. Like, it's not going to happen. Nowadays, it's super easy to figure out something. The cheat code is YouTube. And all of the gear companies are doing tutorials on the gear that they actually release. So if there's new plugins that come out, an update on the DAW, you can literally just type it into YouTube and see what's there, what's new, and see if you want to buy it and kind of get the preview. But that wasn't the case beforehand. So everything was trial and error, erasing stuff you didn't mean to erase, do it over. A lot of stuff. So that was the studying. That was it. It was like, you gotta fix it if it's messed up, or do it again.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I study as I create.
Right.
It's just you don't get no hands-on training for this at all. You know what I'm saying? When you turn on that beat machine, or you you turn on Fruity Loops or whatever the hell you use, your job starts right there. You got to, your training is right there. You just have to figure it out. If you got to use YouTube, go ahead, use YouTube. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Use whatever you can. Phone a friend. Figure it out. All of these audio schools and production programs started to pop up, I'd say, in the last 10 years. And they call themselves teaching music production. And I kind of I actually used to work for a school, but I kind of, in the beginning, was a little offended about it, because I'm like, you can't teach this.
Nope.
Sure, you can probably teach how to press some buttons and put some stuff together or whatever, but maybe with engineering, of course, you can teach frequencies and stuff like that. Like, if people know the science to it, that's one thing. But as far as creating, it comes with practice. Like, you just jump in and you practice and you work and you do what feels good and what sounds good, and you study music structure. The studying is listening to like your favorite records or trying to recreate stuff, that you love and like. And that's where the studying comes into play, listening. So
Indeed. That's basically what inspired me to make beats, was just listening to records. When 2001 came out, I was 10 years old, and seriously, I was 10 years old when 2001 came out, a little kid, and it just got me wanting to do what Dr. Dre does. Dr. Dre was my fucking idol.
Yeah.
I started like getting into like liner notes early, like just seeing what people do. Like, what does this mean? Oh, okay. We had the internet at that time, so I'd look up, whatever search engine was popping back in the day. What was it? Earthlink or whatever.
Jeez.
And like, I would just, oh, what is this? Or like, what is a producer? Like, who makes the beat?
Yeah.
Oh, the producer makes the beat at that time. You know what I'm saying? Like, so like, it's just you dig in on your own, man. Dig in on your own.
Yo, so we got 2 questions. I want y'all to pick one before we head out. The mixing and mastering one, and then do you think it's successful to be artist and producer at the same time?
Mixing and mastering.
So the question is, do you think a mixing and mastering class would be helpful? And I would say yes. Mixing and mastering is a little bit different because you're learning the science of frequencies. And if you know the numbers, you can learn trial and error by, again, instead of having mixing boards in front of us now with the analog gear, everything's on the screen. So you can see what you're doing there. But if you don't understand it, then that's one thing. And I think that when it comes to mixing and mastering, a class would be helpful for that, because then it gets you thinking differently. However, with creating music, it is about the feeling too. But if you understand those frequencies or not, that will even make you better. So I do think that a class is helpful. And then what was the other question about being an artist and producer?
Yeah, can you do both like basically, should I do both at the same time?
If you can. Absolutely. Yeah. Like,
producers are artists.
Right. There's tons of artists that are successful producers and vice versa. It's a lot of work. But yeah, you can do it. You could be your own artist. People have been telling me to do that for years. Produce your own artist, yourself as your artist, and instead of as your first artist. And if you're successful with that, then you have tons of people knocking on your door.
100%.
Yeah. Nah, like that's like there's plenty of producers that just make instrumental albums. You know what I'm saying? Like, They have no problem calling themselves artists.
100%. Yeah, that's great.
Don't ever limit yourself, man. You know? Is that it, Brown?
It is, man. We about to log off.
Yeah, the 5G got him. The 5G got him again.
5G. But
Yeah,
everyone, make sure you listen to the entire episode because I feel like DJ Shay really has a way of connecting. You know, we're all fans of his artists, including him. And so make sure you tune in. Hit us up with questions, suggestions. Leave also a review. And make sure you subscribe.
Yep.
Definitely subscribe, y'all. We need that.
Check the link in the chat.
Yes, sir. Beat the Block Pod.
Yup. All right, gang. Thanks for joining. We'll see y'all next week. Peace.
No doubt. Peace.